As the climate crisis deepens, scientists project that the changing climate could make large parts of our planet unlivable, threatening the lives, livelihoods, and cultures of millions. Wet areas are likely to become wetter, while dry areas would become hotter and drier. An unprecedented rise in sea levels would threaten most coastal settlements. Ancient cities like Alexandria and Venice could disappear forever. How have we come to this point? What are the root causes of climate change? If we delve into history and heritage, we may uncover profound insights. Every place has a culture-climate story, which has been shaped by age-old human-earth interactions. From mountains and deserts to river deltas and sea coasts, human settlements have adapted their livelihoods, lifeways, and cultures in harmony with their natural environment, using eco-sensitive practices for sharing resources and giving back to nature. ICCROM's Net Zero Heritage for Climate Action project was aimed at unraveling such climate culture stories that tap into traditional knowledge and practices to tackle climate change and safeguard at-risk heritage of communities most vulnerable to the climate crisis. Conceived by FAR, First Aid and Resilience for Cultural Heritage in Times of Crisis, a flagship program of ICCROM, the Net Zero initiative was generously supported by the Swedish Postcode Foundation. Combining scientific research and training with community-led action, the Net Zero Heritage for Climate Action project embarked on a 20-month journey of transformative change at 5 innovation sites in Ubatuba, Brazil, Rashid, Egypt, Jodhpur in India, Tuti Island, Sudan, and Kasese in Uganda. With innovation at its core, the Net Zero Heritage for Climate Action project cross-linked climate science with lived experiences of the local communities at all 5 innovation sites to assess climate-related risks to heritage and human settlements, and it leveraged place-specific knowledge held by indigenous people and local communities to develop joint strategies for disaster risk reduction, climate action, and sustainable peace. Our first culture-climate story in Brazil centers around Ubatuba, situated within the boundaries of the Serra do Mar State Park, where lies the Quilombo do Camburi that emerged as a symbol of resilience during the Portuguese colonial period. The Quilombos flourished here by adapting their lifestyle to the naturally protected mountain slopes that extend to the Atlantic Ocean shores. Climate change has increased the risk of landslides and floods with devastating impacts such as disruption of essential goods and services, loss of lives, health issues, food insecurity, and loss of biodiversity. Our Brazilian innovation site team aimed to restore resilience by identifying and planting native plants for increased carbon sequestration, participating in seed exchange fairs to promote sustainable agriculture and food security, collaborating with civil protection to mark safe spaces for emergency preparedness, and engaging youth and elders in workshops to raise awareness about climate change impacts and foster a sustainable future. Our next climate culture story showcases Jodhpur, a city situated on the outskirts of the Thar Desert in India. Dating back to the 15th century, the city was constructed using locally available materials and a unique architectural style that maintained cooled interiors in houses. Streets were deliberately narrowed to channel refreshing breezes, while a network of interconnected water bodies was established to manage extreme water scarcity. Modern developments and extreme weather events induced by climate change have exposed Jodhpur's residents to severe temperatures, erratic rainfall, and increased humidity levels, impacting lives, livelihoods, and infrastructure. To address these challenges, our innovation site team from India systematically collected traditional knowledge to integrate it into Jodhpur's city's heat action plan for coping with extreme heat events. Other activities included documentation and analysis of the scientific basis of vernacular materials and urban planning techniques capable of regulating indoor temperatures by up to 3 degrees centigrade. Organization of storytelling and creative expression workshops involving Jodhpur's youth aimed to impart knowledge, skills, and raise awareness for the preservation of the city's water heritage. In Sudan, our climate culture story originates from Tuti Island, situated at the confluence of the Blue and White Niles in Sudan, where fishing and agriculture formed the backbone of the island's economy, providing sustenance and livelihoods for its inhabitants. Responding to the frequent floods in Tuti, the community developed the Al-Taya flood risk management system, setting up monitoring tents to observe the Nile waters. Amidst the ongoing conflict and climate change challenges disrupting the Nile flood cycle, as well as increasing desertification and flooding, communities face mass displacement and loss of livelihoods. To safeguard the community-held knowledge on flood mitigation and early warning, the team organized virtual story circles and launched the Al-Taya online school to document and pass on the knowledge to the youth of Tuti. Additionally, they engaged diverse stakeholders to promote the integration of the traditional Taya system into flood mitigation policies, setting it as a benchmark for traditional practices. Our fourth climate culture story is set in Buj Rashid, the once thriving port city located at the confluence of the Nile and the Mediterranean Sea. Known for its unique tangible and intangible heritage, impacts of climate change in form of sea level rise, irregular rainfall, and desertification are threatening the communities living in these lands. Cumulatively, these impacts are affecting traditional farming, fishing, nature conservation practices, as well as weather forecasting. In response, the team collaborated with local government agencies, fishermen, and farmers to understand their risk perspectives to develop integrated solutions. They raised awareness on the impacts of climate change among the youth through workshops to sustain climate action. Identifying the potential of native sycamore trees to reduce soil salinity, the team at the innovation site engaged the community in a plantation drive. Additionally, they developed a mobile-based early warning system leveraging the ancient Coptic calendar symbols for providing easy-to-understand and time-efficient weather forecasts to enable early action and secure lives. Our final climate culture story is from Kasese, Uganda, situated between the Rwenzori Mountains and the Ekisalhalha Kyakororo sacred cultural site. It is home to the indigenous Bakonzo community, who adapted their life ways to the mountainous terrain by developing indigenous practices for soil and forest conservation. These practices included a community-based system for dispute resolution. The human settlements in Kasese are increasingly threatened by the destructive force of river floods caused by the rapid melting of glaciers on Mount Rwenzori. These impacts of climate change are further enhancing the risks of conflicts, displacements, and food insecurity. In response, the team held collaborative workshops to document the indigenous knowledge of the Bakonzo people, planted more than 2,000 indigenous tree species along the Kaberi River bank to stabilize soil moisture and mitigate landslide risks. Over 100 young individuals participated in dialogues with indigenous clan leaders, promoting awareness of indigenous knowledge. Finally, a climate change mitigation committee composed of representatives from 8 villages was formed, encouraging community involvement in preserving the planted trees and advancing climate action in Kasese. Our 5 innovation sites embarked on a journey to unravel 5 climate culture stories. With the participation of over 800 community members, the teams shaped integrated strategies for disaster risk reduction, climate action, and peace building. Their actions not only helped to safeguard endangered heritage but also paved the way for participatory climate action and disaster risk reduction plans. This invaluable experience will empower ICCROM to develop a widely applicable tool for assessing climate risks to different forms of heritage. Additionally, it will help to build a training model for scaling up heritage-based climate action. This was truly a cross-disciplinary effort, involving 20 heritage professionals from 5 institutions and expertise from 20 diverse fields. At the heart of the project was community-led transformative change, and none of this would have been possible without our knowledge bearers, teaching us the lifelong lesson that we need to build a culture of we and not me.